Well, good day to all of our awesome internet and mobile marketing friends, family, and following. Mont Silver Sr. here. Hey, listen, guys, as I was spending several weeks putting MyNyloxin under the microscope before I made the decision to promote it and then promote it publicly and let my audience know that I was promoting it, I did a lot of watching videos. I wanted to get to know the people behind the product. I wanted to know a lot more about the product. My belief is that as compelling as the revenue or as compelling as the income model is, and with the idea of commercials and infomercials, as compelling as all that is, in order for that to work, and in order for the share of revenue side of it to work, you've got to have a lot of retail customers. And so what I'll be doing from time to time is just sharing with you some of the videos that I was viewing as I was making my decision to begin to promote MyNyloxin as one of my income streams. So here you're going to get a chance to be introduced to Rik. I think it's, I don't want to mess up his last name. Rik is the owner of Nutrapharma, which is the company that produces MyNyloxin, and you'll get a chance to see an interview with he and I believe it's the pharmacist as they talk about MyNyloxin, or Nyloxin, the product, and then MyNyloxin is the marketing company. Okay, all right. So here is Rik, the owner of Nutrapharma, and really the lead guy behind this product. We love each and every one of you. Let's change the world together, starting with yours.
My name is Rik Deitsch. I'm the CEO of Nutrapharma Corporation.
I'm Charles Yelton. I'm an affiliate and entrepreneur with MyNyloxin.
And we'd like to tell you a little bit about Nutrapharma and Nyloxin.
For sure.
All right, well, first, let me tell you a little bit about Nutrapharma. And Charles, I've been discussing this with Charles at length. Nutrapharma is a biotechnology company. We've been around since 2002. We have 21 patents, and we have drugs in the pipeline for the treatment of multiple sclerosis, HIV, adrenal neuropathy, rheumatoid arthritis, and pain. In 2009, we had our pain drug, our first pain drug, approved by the FDA as a homeopathic pain medication. And the reason it was able to be done like that is because our source for the API, the active pharmaceutical ingredient of the drug, is cobra venom, which is a natural product. So we can get an all-natural product, cobra venom, and it's at such a dilute amount, such a small amount, that it qualifies as a homeopathic drug.
It's incredible.
And that allowed us to get the product into market. That was our first product, Cobroxin, and then we improved it, and we made a stronger version, and that's available as Nyloxin. Now, as I said, Nutrapharma is a publicly traded biotechnology company, and our real goal over the time is to get Nyloxin out to the masses, to improve sales of Nyloxin, improve exposure of Nyloxin, so we can go back into the clinic and work on our other therapies. As an example, multiple sclerosis. You know, how much do you know about MS, multiple sclerosis?
Most people don't know very much at all about it, except they know it's a very debilitating disease. It's a chronic disease that's absolutely just devastating to the individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And MS is an autoimmune disease. Your immune system attacks your nerves, the myelin sheath, the insulating sheath around the nerve. And so most treatments for MS are immunosuppressive agents, things that turn off the immune system. And how many times have you had to give a prescription for an immunosuppressive?
Yeah, things like methotrexate, different.
Yes. Humira and Enbrel and all these drugs that they advertise. They advertise for rheumatoid arthritis, for example. And if you hear those commercials, they're like horror stories. They say,
side effects.
Yeah, get checked for tuberculosis before you go on this drug. Make sure you don't have an infectious disease. The drug can increase risk for infection and even cancer. And that's true of any immunosuppressive agent. And so most MS is treated with immunosuppressive drugs. Our drug is an immunomodulatory agent. It modulates the immune response so that your immune system works more appropriately.
Absolutely.
And what we've seen in preclinical studies and our phase 1 studies is we've actually seen a complete stop of forward progression. So it halts the forward progression of the disease. And over time, it reverses the symptoms. So people improve over time. We've actually seen patients who were not ambulatory patients in wheelchairs get out of wheelchairs. So now we have to prove that in phase 2 and phase 3 clinical studies, which we'll endeavor to do over the next several years. And that's our MS drug. And then we also have a drug for an antiviral drug that is what they call a chemokine receptor inhibitor, blocks receptor sites on the cell surface and prevents viruses from getting into cells. It's a really unique mechanism, but we have studies in herpes, in hepatitis C, and in HIV. So we have a lot of work in the antiviral as well. So that's our goal long term for Nutrapharma, is to get back into the clinic and have these life-changing, life-saving drugs available.
And the best part about these drugs is the fact that because it's a homeopathic remedy, and these will be drugs, of course.
Yeah.
The product that we have, the Nyloxin product itself, is such an incredible product. Of all of my 40 years of pharmacy, in the practice of pharmacy, we've never had anything like this that we could introduce to folks that's over the counter. Most everything has side effects. This has very minimal side effects with maximum rewards. Imagine a stage 2 breakthrough, a product that absolutely will annihilate pain, and it's what I call it addresses pain like the narcotics. Stage 1 is addressing pain like, think about it, Lortab, Lorcet, and Vicodin addresses the same pain without the addiction, without the tolerance. Actually, just to give you an idea, this product, if you give a loading dose, it's what I call a loading dose, or a therapeutic dose, 2 sprays 4 times a day of our oil spray, for example, 2 sprays 4 times a day for 5 to 7 days, 7 days being kind of a hypothetical major threshold, then you're talking about addressing pain like the narcotics. I mean, man, this is the most incredible product that I've ever seen, Rick, and I'll tell you, to say that I'm a part of this with you, and I know you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this, and you've brought it to this stage, and now we have an opportunity of a lifetime to go with this beautiful product. I've never seen anything like it. And to think, not only can we address stage 2 pain, but imagine stage 3 pain. Wow! Yeah. We're talking about now going to my narcotic cabinet, right? Yeah. As a pharmacist for 40 years, now we have to open the cabinet and say, morphine sulfate, oxycodone, MS-Contin, Demerol 50 and 100 milligrams, and even Duragesic or the fentanyl patches, which shouldn't even be given unless you're on an opiate to start with. These are dangerous drugs with major side effects. Most people do not take a narcotic thinking, well, I'm going to get addicted. They take it because they have serious pain. Yes. And now we can address serious pain, stage 2, and then stage 3, like the narcotics, those serious ones. Now we're talking about over the top, still over the counter, even though it's 600 times more potent than morphine on a molecular basis. A person's 5-year-old daughter or son or their grandson or granddaughter, 5 years old, could drink this whole bottle and it not injure them, hurt them. And I like what I said when I texted you that time. Yeah. Rick, I think I know the answer to this, but I really need to hear it from the horse's mouth from you. Yeah, Tell me, what would it...
Let's take a step back, though, because we're talking about stage 2 and stage 3 pain. I'm sure a lot of people that are going to listen to this
That's a great idea.
really don't understand. So let me just take a step back. The World Health Organization, WHO, has a 3-step pain ladder, what they call stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 1 pain is pain that is annoying more than anything else. If you had to say, what is your pain on a level of 1 to 10, stage 1 is anywhere up to 4, like 1 to 4. And stage 1 pain is usually treated with over-the-counters. NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which include Motrin, Aleve, ibuprofen, naproxen, acetaminophen is a non-NSAID, but that's in the same category. And even those drugs are not meant for chronic use. You're not supposed to take them all the time. NSAIDs, for example, like I said, aspirin, naproxen, ibuprofen, all of these are absorbed through the stomach mucosa, so they all cause stomach damage. And they thin the blood, so they can cause bleeding. In fact, one of the leading causes of death among people over 80 is internal bleeding from overuse of NSAIDs, even just aspirin therapy. They can also cause kidney damage and other damage. And in children, they can cause Rye syndrome, which is very dangerous. Yeah, and then they cause Stevens-Johnson syndrome with skin detachment. I mean, there's a lot of side effects from chronic use of these NSAIDs. And then acetaminophen, which is the Tylenols, they cause liver damage. And in fact, it's so prevalent that the FDA put a black box warning on all Tylenol-containing products a few years ago because people didn't understand that Tylenol at high doses is just not safe. Right. In fact, it's very dangerous among children. If they're rushed to the emergency room, they have to give them Mucomist, which is a drug that helps break down the acetaminophen effects in the liver. So these can be very dangerous. And this is just stage 1, all right? Then you get to stage 2 pain. Stage 2 pain is considered pain that interrupts your sleep and or your work. Absolutely. On a scale of 1 to 10, that's 4 to 7. Now at stage 2, you're either taking high dose or chronic use of the over-the-counters, or now you get to low dose opiates, Percocet, Vicodin, things like that. And that's in stage 2 pain. Then you get to the worst pain, stage 3 pain. Stage 3 pain is considered to be intractable pain. That's pain that you cannot live with unless it's medicated. You have to medicate in some way, shape, or form. And stage 3 pain, that's when you get to the morphine, the fentanyl, the gabapentin, Neurontin. These are highly addictive drugs. Now, all the opiates are addictive. Some are more so than others. You mentioned fentanyl. Fentanyl is addictive after the first dose. One dose of fentanyl, you can become addicted to it, which is, to me, appalling. And then there's the people that are in genuine pain, and then there's legislation because there's people that just want to get the drugs they're addicted to. Absolutely. And who knows, that maybe at one time they needed those drugs, but now they're just addicted to them. And you got to get off those medications. All of those drugs are addictive. All the drugs cause cognitive decline, so you have loss of brain function. And all those drugs slow organs, slow organ systems, so your breathing becomes labored, and et cetera. I talk about hospices. And many of us have had loved ones that have wound up in a hospice. And when you go into a hospice, there's pamphlets all over the place that say what to expect at the end. What to expect as your loved one nears the end. And they give this laundry list of symptoms. And they make it almost like these are symptoms of dying. Bluing of the lips and fingers, labored breathing, loss of cognitive function, or cognitive decline. None of these have anything to do with dying. These are not the symptoms of someone approaching natural death. Right. These are all symptoms of morphine overdose.
Absolutely.
Morphine abuse. Right. And what they do in hospice, and I'm not knocking hospice, I'm not...
tremendous organization.
Yeah, I'm not besmirching hospice, but what normally occurs is a patient is in pain, they give an escalating dose of morphine until the patient expires. And what you're seeing is morphine abuse. And I'm not saying to stop that in these patients because it is dealing with a painful situation. But imagine they could use a product that didn't cause cognitive decline, that didn't cause slowing of the organs or failing of the organs. And people, even near the end, would be able to have their wishes expressed. And that's what Nyloxin is. Nyloxin is non-opiate, non-narcotic, non-addictive. It doesn't have any of the NSAID side effects or any of the acetaminophen side effects.
No aspirin.
And yet it deals with stage 2 and stage 3 pain, equivalent to, and in many cases even better, than a lot of those other drugs. And as you said before, we've an animal model that shows that it's 600 times more potent than morphine on a molecular basis. Wow. You need so little of it to get the same benefits.
That's incredible.
And the other thing to talk about is sensitivity. Every pain drug in existence, you grow resistant to over time. The more you take, the more you need.
Tolerance, yes.
Yeah, you grow tolerant to it. You grow resistant to it. And eventually you have something we call the ceiling effect, which means that no matter how much you take, it stops working for you. That's it. And so you have to switch drugs, and you wind up being multi-addicted to many different drugs. We don't have that problem with Nyloxin. These peptides bind to specific receptors in the body, the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors on the nerves. And when they bind, there's something called induced fit. The receptor actually has to change shape to accept the protein. Because of that, the more you take over time, the more sensitive those receptors become to the drug.
Wow.
And so what happens is instead of growing resistant to the drug, you grow more sensitive to it. And so you need less over time to get the same benefits, which is a first in this drug category. An absolute first. So people are going to notice that when you take the topical gel, it works for the most part within 20 minutes. And the topical gel is great in any area that doesn't have a lot of fat or muscle. Your hands, wrists, elbows, knees, things like that. Any specific areas of pain, that's where it's going to work. With the oral spray can take 2 to 5 days to maximize in the system. And I try to be very careful of how I say this, because people think, and you said before, like a loading phase. It really doesn't load because it doesn't get stored. These peptides are broken down pretty quickly in the body. So none of this is stored over time. None of it poses a long-term risk because peptides, proteins are always broken down. Okay? So, but what happens is the nerves, the receptors, grow more and more sensitive to the drug. Every time you take it, it works a little better. And so it can take 2 to 5 days to maximize those results. Okay? So I tell people when they start using the oral spray, Take 2 to 3 sprays, say 3 or 4 times a day when you first start, and over a period of up to 5 days, you're going to get better and better and better results. And it's going to work all over. And it's not just for pain, it's also for inflammation. So people say, are you just masking the pain? No, we're dealing with the pain, but we're also dealing with inflammation and relaxing the tissues and stopping the inflammatory cascade. Because that same receptor that's on the surface of the nerves is also on the surface of white blood cells. And so it helps modulate the immune system reaction that causes inflammation. And so it's a very potent anti-inflammatory and a very potent pain drug without any of the side effects associated with those other drugs.
Well, another thing too, all of the narcotics we've talked about in your stage 2 would be your Lortab, Lorcet, and Vicodin. Very strong drugs, but zero anti-inflammatory activity. So as a result, we have not only the pain relieving that addresses the same pain, but the anti-inflammatory. See, with those drugs, you have to give an NSAID, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent, like ibuprofen or Motrin, or like the naproxen, sodium. As a result of that, now they're giving 2 drugs, and they both will cause side effects, especially the NSAIDs are causing a lot of stomach damage over time. They should not even be taken long term.
Right.
But they're prescribing them long term because the pain is very real and they need the anti-inflammatory in addition. Our product, the Nyloxin, has both in one without all the side effects. This is the most incredible product that's ever hit the planet. It will be the #1 product that's ever been in the United States and possibly worldwide. I can't speak what's in China and Russia and all those places, but I know in this country, I've been a pharmacist over 40 years, we've never had a product that someone could come into a pharmacy or a chiropractor or a pain clinic and be able to access a product with this magnitude of strength and do what this product does. It's never happened.